Hi, I'm Catherine Llewellyn, the host of the podcast. You can find out all about Truth and Transcendence on truthandtranscendence.com. And you can find out all about me on beingspace.world, where you will find my online coaching offering, as well as my UK-based workshops. The Freedom of Spirit workshop for liberation and empowerment, the Pellower Radical Shift in Consciousness workshop for spiritual expansion, and transformational coaching for exploring the mind-body-spirit connection on the expansive path. You can also support the podcast by actually making a donation. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to Truth and Transcendence. You can find all of our episodes on truthandtranscendence.com. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Blair Abee onto the show. And we're going to talk about a lot today, but we're going to talk and emphasize something called soul contact, which Blair will explain to us what he means by that. Blair is an author, a poet, an educator, and an ordinary mystic. Founder of Energetic Wave Publishing, he's written 5 best-selling books on meditation, mindfulness, manifestation, and more. He's an observer, a yogi, and a toolmaker for personal development. You can find Blair at blairabee.com, which is spelled BLAIRABEE.com. So Blair, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Catherine, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Fantastic. Well, I know you're a bit of a veteran of you've been going on podcasts for some time, so you have so many things to talk about, and as often is the case, it's a question of how do we not get bogged down in the fact we've got so much to talk about, we don't have time to do it. So just to focus us to begin with, would you like to start by sharing a little bit about what these words soul contact that mean to you?
Right. Well, I think it's fair to say, and I've had lots of conversations with people about this, that most people have some notion of what soul is, and that they have a soul or higher consciousness or some aspect of themselves that is like a best friend, a spiritual aspect of themselves. But as I talk to people, most people would not say that they know that part of themselves very well, have had what I would call soul contact, and are intrigued by the idea that soul contact is possible as a, three-dimensional human being running around, doing our daily lives, indoctrinated from birth that this is a dog-eat-dog kind of world. And, you have to work at it. There's suffering, as Buddha would say. Everybody suffers in their humanness. And that soul contact is a way kind of out of that. It's a way to wake up. So my experience with soul contact, let me tell you the story, which is approximately 10 years ago. I moved from one side of the country to the other, to California, to take a sizable upgrade in my work. My trajectory was upwards and onwards, and I had lots of ambition. And I ended up with a boss who was somewhat of a psychopath, unfortunately, misusing the program, misusing funds, misusing people. And after a while, I just could not put up with it. I couldn't continue to just kind of be, second fiddle to a really dysfunctional situation. So I let people above us know what was going on. An investigation was done. She was fired, but they fired me too because they said I was a troublemaker as a whistleblower. And I guess I did make trouble for them by bringing attention to the fact that they weren't really doing their jobs in terms of supervising this person. And that was huge, devastating. It was an ego blow. And it was an end to a 25-year career and doing what I was doing. And I had to reinvent myself. Part of that reinvention, part of the healing process, and I'd been doing meditation for, 40 years, yoga, was to take a deep dive into my meditation practice. And in the process, began to get a sense of that part of me, which I now call soul, kind of flowing through my fingers onto the keyboard and onto the screen in the journaling that I was doing for healing. And there would be times I would write for hours, and it was just, it felt like spirit was just flowing through my fingers and onto the keyboard. And information that I did not have consciously access to previously. After several 100,000 words, I realized I had some books, that and information that might be valuable to others, which I wanted to share. And as a consequence, launched my writing career, which I had never an expectation of doing, and my publishing company, and began to publish my books on Amazon. And that's just opened up a whole world of doing podcasts, having a website, doing a blog, teaching, offering courses, a number of things related to basically sharing what I learned, um, the hero's journey. The hero goes out and sort of battles with the world in some way or another, and then brings back what he or she learns and shares it with the community. And that's kind of how I see that outcome. So the communication just began to get deeper and wider, and with my soul. I actually gave my soul a nickname, High C, as a just sort of a shorthand. And like I said, at night I would write, and I would ask questions, and I'd get answers. And now, it's not just the writing, although for me, soul contact was really done through writing and through journaling and through kind of a sense of downloading of spirituality and spiritual information and so forth from what I would call the fifth dimension. We live in three-dimensional bodies, but we're spirits inside of these three-dimensional bodies that we drive around. And that part of ourselves that is the soul, is the, I don't know, the spark of consciousness, if you will. It's interesting to try and talk about this, and I've been talking about it a lot over the last few years, but it's still hard to put words on an experience that is so transcendental. It's hard to say what waking up is. It's hard to communicate in words the experience, which is what I try and share with people and provide tools for them to have their own experience of soul. But but it's, it's hard. It's kind of hard to put in words, that experience. But again, the beauty is everybody, I think many people, certainly people who are interested in what I have to say, have this idea that they do have a another dimension to themselves. And my message is that that dimension's available to all of us, and that it's a breath away. Most of our master teachers said that the kingdom of heaven lies within, or the imprisoned splendor of that soul contact is within us, but is not accessible unless you come up with a way to have that be accessible to you. You have to invite it to happen. You have to open to that possibility. Meditation, by far, is the most direct path to making soul contact. And I think it's one of the things that we come to Earth to do, is to grow spiritually to the point where we realize that we are eternal beings. You, me, we, all of us are eternal beings. Again, driving around in these biomechanical vehicles on planet Earth, trying to scrap out a living and improve our lives on a day-to-day basis. And then there's that other aspect, which is just right there, available and accessible. And once that relationship, has been kind of preparing us, if you will, and I think reincarnation is part of my world, has been perhaps preparing us for lifetimes to finally, in this lifetime, have that experience. And thus launches a whole new spiritual career in eternity.
Yeah, thank you. Beautiful description. I mean, you said it's difficult to describe in words. And when you said that, I was thinking, actually, I feel like I am getting what you're saying. But you're quite right. It's not just the words, it's also the energy within which you're describing it, and the way you're pausing as you find the next idea that comes through. So thank you for that beautiful exposition of it, because it's a sort of, as you say, an experience. You're having an experience, you're living an experience. You're not just recounting an experience that you remember.
That's right.
You're having.
It's not theoretical. It's actual. It's real. It's the experience never goes away. It has been my personal experience, and it just grows because it's really an open. It's like poking a hole in the dam, and the hole just gets bigger as the spirit flows through and into your consciousness.
Did you at any point on your journey experience any personal resistance to this happening?
Oh no, it was. I mean, I had been interested in metaphysics and spiritual matters for as long as I could remember, and certainly since I started doing yoga and meditation in 1972, 50 years ago, um, and was on that path. So this was like, oh wow, cool, lovely, please, yes, more.
There's a homecoming more than
Exactly. It's like homecoming, precisely.
So how did you get into the yoga and the meditation in the first place?
Um, I moved from North Carolina, one side of the country, to California, San Francisco, the other side of the country, and there was a meditation ashram or school close to where I lived. And I went by there, you know, for weeks after moving, and finally just sort of noticed. And being in San Francisco compared to small town North Carolina, it was just a kind of a mind blowing experience, and there was so much available. Um, and to have a place like that, which I'd never seen before, really never had much contact with before, um, on my um, walk in the neighborhood, was just it was great. So I went in and wanted to know about it and talked to the lady at the front desk and decided to enroll in a yoga class. And it was offered by a fellow by the name of Satchidananda, who's one of the first yogis from India in the United States, and he had 3 or 4 around the country. So it was very well done, um, uh, and was a respite. It was a place to go and just be and learn how to stretch and learn how to meditate. Um, and so that was that first breakthrough, if you will, into that world.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So were you a particularly open person before that, an open and inquiring sort of person before that? Was that where you came from, or was that something that emerged later?
Yeah, it's something that really emerged. And interestingly enough, I grew up again, in a small town, a Christian church. It was pretty insulated. It really wasn't until I went to college and was introduced to um, history of the Christian religion, um, and began to study it from a different perspective than I'd ever been exposed to, that I realized, what I thought I knew and understood um, wasn't enough. And so that um, I think kicked off my inquiry, and then doing the yoga was like entering into the stream, entering into the river.
Got it. Yes, I can feel that progression now in the way
Yes.
you described it. So you've been through that very hard experience when you
Yes.
ratted on your boss and ended up being
Yes.
turfed out. No good deed goes unpunished, right?
Right.
You were turfed out, but you sort of bounced back through this
Yes.
beautiful spiritual path. So now in your life, you mentioned to me before we started that you're doing consulting work and you're doing other things. Would you describe a little bit about what you're now doing in your life?
Yes. Well, right. I continue to write. Uh, I have a weekly blog, and if people will go to the website, they can sign up for the weekly newsletter. Um, I offer some courses. Um, I work with people one on one, and this has just become my lifestyle. I mean, this is now what I do, and certainly wasn't on my career path. I never imagined, a publishing company and all of that. So I just one of the things that I do is develop tools that people can use um, to. I'm in the process of writing my next book, which is Soul Contact. Um, Offering tools for that, offering tools for meditation, offering tools for mindfulness, offering tools for manifestation. One of the things that I do with my manifestation work and my manifestation book is the key exercise is called best possible outcome. And in that exercise, and it's real simple, and I was dissatisfied with everything I'd come across related to manifestation. It just all seemed ego bound to me. Um, so in interacting with High C, basically we came up with this best possible outcomes process, which goes like this. I ask, and I'm asking my soul, I'm asking high C, for the best possible outcome as relates to my need for transportation. And then pause, get a sense that high C is engaged, and then offer a thank you for being involved in my life and being involved in my day-to-day concerns. Now, that seems really simple, and it is, but it's really powerful because, number one, it's an ask of your soul, of your higher self, of your higher consciousness for the best possible outcome. Not asking your ego or not saying, I want a BMW appearing in my driveway tomorrow, or not doing a storyboard, about the BMW that you want appearing in your driveway. But a request for the best possible outcome, trusting that my soul, higher consciousness, will engage and be involved in the best possible outcome. It might be that I need a truck, not a BMW car. It might be that I need a whatever, a motorcycle. For the best possible outcome for my spiritual growth and evolution. So it's something that you can use literally any time of the day about anything, whether it's a parking place or whether it's a relationship or whatever it happens to be. But by turning it over to soul or over to higher consciousness, you've really opened yourself up for that best possible outcome. And you've engaged with that part of yourself that has your best interest at heart, and wants to be a part of your life, and that wants to engage, and is pleased, with the acknowledgement and the gratitude.
Beautiful. Well, there's a couple of things I noticed in that I really liked. One was that you're not deciding with your ego specifically what the thing should look like. There's this humility there, isn't there? Like,
Yes.
I'm open to receive whatever it is that I really need.
Yes.
Not what it is I think I need. And you're also giving thanks before anything's been delivered. And that, to me, is a very gracious position, isn't it? That's thank you for listening to my request, or it's just thank you for being there. And I love it. That's beautiful. Really lovely. Funny enough, I do something that's not quite the same, but when I write in my journal in the morning, I very often will do an asking, or I'll say, I ask that today I get out of the way and let things happen, or I ask that today I'm in service, or I ask that today, whatever.
Yes.
It's a sort of an extremely respectful place, isn't it?
Right. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lovely.
Yeah. And in my world, it's um, asking and offering gratitude to my higher consciousness and to the flow of spirit into my life, which is really, to me these days, one of the most important things. And as part of my process and as part of my lifestyle and a part of who I am. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's how you roll.
Exactly.
Very nice.
Yes.
So how do people respond when you're working with people? How do people respond to you introducing a tool like that? Do people find it readily accessible, or do they have to sort of practice for a while to actually really connect with it? How does it work?
Understand. Well, it kind of depends, because everybody's at a different place in their lives and a different level of spiritual growth. So for for some people for whom spirituality and this idea is new, but maybe they even tried some, manifestation systems or whatever. It takes practice. It's like anything else, it's like learning to ride a bike. You do it, you work at it, you work at it, you work at it. All of a sudden, one day you just have sort of a breakthrough, and you're off and flying down the street, you know, uh, uh, riding your bike in a lovely sort of way. Other people get it immediately because they've been noodling around it already for some time, and perhaps they also have um, greater spiritual understanding and experience, and have done a lot of work on themselves in that fashion. And so it's like, oh yeah, that's great. Oh, you jump on the bike immediately and ride down the road. So it really depends on the person, and where they're at, as to the response.
Yeah.
And some people say, no, that's not for me. And uh, everybody has to find their own path. And everybody, I think, has their own path in some fashion or another. You just have to find out what that is.
Yeah. I've had a lot of conversations with people lately, and heard a lot of other conversations lately about people who are saying, yeah, I could do this stuff if there wasn't so much bad stuff going on in the world. But because there's all this bad stuff going on in the world, I can't
Yes.
really put my attention on this because, and the subtext is, because what I need to do is sit here being miserable about it.
Yes.
And I can't therefore, go into this because that would just be wrong, or I can't do it. So do you ever come across that sort of mindset?
From time to time, and I certainly understand that because we are in a difficult world, and it's seemingly increasingly more difficult. Everything from climate change to political upheavals to um, uh, it, the, the term that I used recently was the unleashing of um, the unleashing of the ego has gone, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody wants to be noticed, and everybody. Well, so but the thing that I say in response to that is, you have to take care. The only thing really that you can take care of is your own consciousness. You don't have control over elections. You don't have control over um, uh, political um, unfolding and craziness, which is going on in this country. You don't have control over it. What you have control over is your own consciousness. And your own consciousness is a refuge from all of that. It's a way to find a place to um, spend your, mental and emotional and spiritual time and energy, as to not be swept away by the times and the difficulties of the times. And that gets a response from people who can see the benefit of that as an alternative to, there's nothing I can do about this world, and I'm going to just sit and marinate in it and kind of go along with it, as opposed to finding um, finding your own place in the world where you can be peaceful, and grow in love, and evolve yourself no matter what's going on.
Beautiful, beautiful. I only asked that question because it's been so present lately.
Yes, no, I know,
It is, and I feel like what you're describing and what you're embodying is a kind of a still place in the midst of it all that somebody can visit with, and
Yes.
come away with some, as you say, helpful tools that they can
Tools.
use
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to follow their own particular path. So I think it's absolutely marvelous what you're doing. Just to say, just to bring it sort of very much into the present,
Yes.
is there any kind of particular theme of curiosity or inquiry that you are personally exploring at the moment? Just to give us a taste of, where you are in your own journey in relation to all of this.
Right. Well, in addition to the book that I have underway on the subject of making soul contact, also doing a book on health and wellness. And health and wellness, I'm 75, and health and wellness becomes more and more important as time goes on. And that's where I'm applying then what I know to my own health and wellness and the health and wellness of those people around me. Delving deeply into healing practices, and kind of trying to see what works and what doesn't work, and exploring. All of us have health issues, but certainly as you get older, that becomes increasingly a issue that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, because your body begins to break down. I had to have a hip replacement not too long ago. Fairly major undertaking, surgery and all of that. And so applying spirituality to that and to the healing process is really one of the things that I'm exploring deeply at the present time.
Thank you so much. That really grounds, that in a way, that grounds on what you're saying in a very, very real and present way, doesn't it? Particularly for those of us who are on the other side of 50 or 60 or 70, and these questions are present. And I think that's fantastic. Why not? Why not apply spirituality to that question?
Yes,
Why on earth
absolutely.
not? Brilliant. Well, good for you. Well, may you continue for many more decades. Well, for as long as you wish to, before you choose
Yeah.
end to whatever the next piece of the invention might be.
Yeah.
So, just to slightly switch the focus slightly before we
Okay.
get, I like to think there are a lot of people in the world at the moment who are trying to be part of the solution by providing some sort of helpful leadership, whether that's just leadership in their own lives, whether it's something as grandiose as, running a country or running a business or whatever it may be.
Yes.
And some of those people listen to this podcast, obviously. Is there something you'd like to say to those people who are trying to be part of the solution and doing their best? Is there something you'd like to offer them?
I think more than anything, what I would say is, and this really applies to anybody, but it certainly applies to people who are, attempting to be leaders in some way or another in their communities and in their world, is that finding that part of yourself that is your higher consciousness is, I think, a major accomplishment in any lifetime, and that can be brought into any endeavor in a way that improves outcomes, raises the vibratory frequency of what you do, opens you to different way of thinking about and solving problems, and that it is something I would recommend.
Wonderful. Well, there's a simple idea, everybody. Just go and do that. Now, presumably, if people would like a bit of help with that, they can come and find you. I'll just give the URL again, which is blairabee.com. BLAIRABEE.com. And are you happy for people to contact you and ask for a chat to find out a bit more and connect with you?
Well, I do sessions with people. So at the website, you can find out how to work with me if that's something that you're interested in. Yes.
Fantastic. And is there a little sort of, I don't know, discovery call or something that people can do to sort of get a sense of the connection with you as a way into that?
I don't have discovery calls per se. People, explore around, see what I've got at the website, perhaps buy a book, see if it's something that they're interested in. And if they're interested in that, then I'd be happy to spend some time with them and explore their own spiritual development.
Lovely. Well, that's a very confident position, which I would like to respect. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. It's brilliant. Because I think some of us give away too much time, talking to people about working together when actually it should just be, well, are we going to work together or not? So
Exactly.
very clear,
Yeah.
very clear. So we've talked about quite a lot today, Blair, which I thought we might, and it's been fascinating and it has felt very spacious to me, actually, this conversation.
Great.
Has there been a favorite part of our conversation today for you?
Well, I like the penetrating questions that you've had. I think we've gone deeply into some of my thoughts and ideas, and I always like doing podcasts because almost every podcast I do is with somebody who's of like mind, and so just having a conversation with somebody of like mind is always a blessing.
Yes, thank you. For me too. And I think that's lovely for us, but also to the listeners. If you have people of like mind, have conversations with them. Take the
Yes.
time, because it's all too easy to say we're too busy, we don't have time. But you're quite right, it's so nourishing and elevating to do that. And final thing I'd like to ask you, and sometimes guests like to do this, would you like to leave the listeners with some sort of inquiry question that they can contemplate over the coming week that might help them connect more deeply with what we've been talking about today?
I think that question, hopefully, our conversation has opened up people to the question of, well, what is soul, and how can I be in touch with that part of myself? What can I do? Uh, let me begin to explore that and see what that might be about.
Beautiful. Absolutely lovely. Well, thank you so much, Blair, for coming on the show. It's been such a delight. I will now wind up for the listeners. So thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. That's all for
I've enjoyed it so much. Namaste.
and namaste. And I'll see everybody next week. Thanks again to Blair Abee. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. It really helps if you give a thumbs up, a 5-star rating, a review, and share with your friends. If you're looking for transformational coaching or an intensive transformational weekend workshop experience, I can help with that. You can actually help the show by making a donation. Until next time, take care.